First time buyers, you don't know what you don't know. So what do I mean by this? There are several questions that first time buyers don't always realise they need to ask. Now, I'm going to be talking about 7 of those tonight, and by the end of it, you should understand what additional costs are beyond the deposit, mortgage affordability versus mortgage eligibility, government schemes, what ones are out there, the importance of the DIP, the decision in principle, or the AIP, the application in principle, or the MIP, the mortgage in principle. It has several different names. The local market conditions, the potential for negative equity, and long-term financial commitments. Now, who am I? My name is, well, I call myself the mortgage coach because after 20 years as an accountant, I retrained as a mortgage advisor in 2019, and I also am a certified financial coach. I've helped thousands of people understand how mortgages work under obviously this YouTube channel, and I've also helped hundreds actually get onto the property ladder. So if you want to learn more, watch this video. Please like it if these are areas that you'd be interested in. Subscribe if you want to, and press the bell button if it's something that you'd be interested in going forward. There are tons of videos on this channel for first time buyers and first time landlords. So let's get started. First, the additional costs beyond the deposit. Everybody works towards saving up that golden deposit, which is great because it is really, really important. But the other things that you need to be aware of are stamp duty. Currently, first-time buyers are exempt, but you should still be aware of it. Surveyor's fees. Sometimes they are included in the mortgage, but not always. And obviously understanding what kind of survey you need. Legal fees, again, they can sometimes be included, but sometimes not. And sometimes, even if they are included, you may opt to go direct because you want it to move quicker. If you're in a chain and someone else is relying on you to buy their property before they can move on and they don't want to wait, you might opt for having independent legal in order to speed things up. Sometimes you get what you pay for, so having it for free, it may be a tad longer. And finally, moving costs. Just be aware that you might need a removal van, or you might hire a car, you might need boxing, packing, all different things. So that's something you need to consider. The other thing I would also say is make sure you've got the essentials when you first move in. So it's things like tea bags if you're into tea, toilet roll is a really important one, but bits and bobs that you will need when you first move in if you've never owned before. The next thing I wanted to talk about is mortgage affordability versus mortgage eligibility. Now, everybody asks, how much can I afford? How much can I afford? And normally it is based on how much money that you have coming in, so that could be employed or self-employed income, versus what your credit report is and what your credit commitments are, and that can obviously reduce what you can borrow. So that is affordability in a nutshell, and I do have videos with a lot more detail on how that works. But also eligibility. Now, depending on how long you've worked in a company, what kind of credit status you've got, loads of different things will make you eligible or illegible or not eligible, and those need to be considered. That's why it's really, really useful to be with a mortgage advisor, because they can look at your individual circumstances and see which lender is the best fit for you. The next thing is government schemes. Now, if you're a council tenant, Right to Buy is a great government scheme for you. If you're not a council tenant, then shared ownership also needs to be considered. Remember, with shared ownership, one, you're not buying the whole thing, and because you won't own the whole thing, you'll be paying an element of rent and an element of ownership of the mortgage. Now, I have got a separate video on that talks about the shared ownership strategy, so that is also something worth looking at. You also need to look at your lifetime ISAs, which are great when you're which is a great government scheme when you're saving up a deposit, and how they give you a bonus of 25% on top. The next thing that I will be talking about is the importance of, and I said it's either called a DIP, decision in principle, it's an AIP or an MIP, which is either mortgage or application in principle. Now, these are important for several reasons. A mortgage advisor can tell you how much they think you can afford to borrow, but once you've got one of these documents, you really can say to an estate agent, this is what I can afford. One, it's good because you've got a piece of paper and you know yourself, but the other, it's really good because if you are trying to put an offer in on a property, it's great because you can say, look, this is how much I can afford. If you're looking to view certain properties, even though estate agents shouldn't restrict you, they sometimes want to know that you're serious, and again, this document is really useful. So I would say one of the first things when you decide that you're looking for a property, go to a mortgage advisor, because they should be able to help you get one of these documents by going through your affordability with you. The next thing to look at is the local market conditions. Now, these will vary from one area to the other. Understanding the local market, it's always good to, one, have a look at the trends. You can find this information on Zoopla and other websites, but also it's really worth investing in an estate agent. That's what they're there for. You can tell them exactly what you're looking for, and whether you're looking for a fixer-upper, or whether you're looking for a a turnkey, which is obviously when you just go in, turn the key, and everything's perfect. You can ask them, is now a good time to buy? Could I wait 3 months? Should I wait 6 months? And they should have a handle on the market and be able to tell you. Also, mortgage advisors have a good idea of what's going on as well. The next is the potential for negative equity. Now, a lot of people don't even think that this is even possible, because property, as everybody knows, normally does appreciate, doesn't depreciate. Appreciate means that it goes up in value year on year. And normally people say if you've had a property more than 10 years, the likelihood is it has doubled in value. But sometimes you do get negative equity. So this is one thing I have talked about on my video where we talk about 100% mortgages. It's something to be aware of. The good thing about a deposit is it is a buffer against negative equity. If the property goes down in value for whatever reason, because of the market, because of demand in the property in that area, loads of different reasons, it could be reduced in value. If you have actually put a deposit in, then as long as your property doesn't decrease in value past that deposit amount. So for example, if you put in a 20% deposit and your property went down by 10%, even though you would temporarily be in negative equity, it wouldn't affect the bank, because they owe 80%, you owe them the 80%. So if it's gone down by 10%, you're still on the 90%. I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments. The last thing I'd like to talk about is long-term financial commitments. So when you own a property, or when you purchase a property, you are committing normally for quite a long time. And it's something to bear in mind. Everybody wants their payments to be as low as possible, and I understand that when you're first starting out, but have a set goal. Like I once did this deal with a client, and she first started out saying, oh, I want a 25-year mortgage because that's what they ask for. But when I looked at her affordability, she could actually pay it off in 10 years. And you'll much prefer to have 10 years worth of interest rather than 25 years worth of interest. So have a look at how much of a long-term commitment you want to make. And those are all the questions. They'll also be in the description if you want to have a look at them. Again, if there's anything you want for me to discuss around mortgages and money matters, please put it in the comments and I will try my best to do a video on it. If you've enjoyed this video, please like it, please subscribe and share with others, especially, you know, first time buyers or first time landlords, because I think it's good to get, you know, the free content that you're getting from me, by spreading the word and letting other people get access to it. So thanks and good evening.